Shalom. Welcome you Cecil Evans na imeona ya Kiloka to Injili ya milele ya Yahshua Messiah. The journey through the scriptures, may Yahweh bless you and may Yahweh do you good. In this episode, we are in the episode of Hadassah or Esther, as they call him in Greek. Hadassah chapter number 1, verse number 1. And it came to be in the days of Ahasuerus. He is the Ahasuerus who reigned from Hodok to Cush, 127 provinces in those days, when the sovereign of Ahasuerus sat on throne on his reign, which was in the citadel of Shushan. At the third year of his reign made the feast of his officials and servants on the power and Paras and Madai, and the nobles and the princes of the provinces were before him, when he showed the riches of his esteemed reign to the splendor of his excellent greatness for many days, and 180 days. And when these days were completed, the sovereign made a feast lasting 7 days for all the people who were present in the citadel of Shushan, from the great to small, in the courtyard of the garden of the sovereign palace. White and blue tapestries were fastened with the cords of the linen and purple of silver and rose and marble columns, and the coaches were of gold and silver on a mosaic pavement, alabaster, marble, mother of pearl, and the black marble. And they served drinks in the golden mother of pearl and the black marble. And they served drinks in the golden vessels, the vessels of being different from one another, with much royal wine according to the hand of the sovereign. And according and drinking was to the law, no one was compared for this sovereign, and ordered for the officers in the house that they should do according to each one's pleasure. Sovereigns Vashti also made a feast for women in the royal palace in the sovereign Ahasuerus owned. And the 7th day, when the heart of the sovereign was glad with wine, he ordered Naaman, Biztha, born Bether, and Abigail the Sar, and Carcass, and the 7 eunuchs who were in the attendance in the presence of sovereign Ahasuerus, to bring sovereign Vashti before the sovereign, which were royal crown, in order to show her loveliness to the people and officials, for she was lovely to look upon. But sovereign Vashti refused to come, and the sovereign's command brought to his eunuch, and the sovereign was very loth, and his rage burned within him. So the sovereign said to the wise men, who will understand times, for in this way the sovereign's matter was before all who knew the law and right ruling, and who were close to him. Kashena, Sudha, Admada, Itrashish, and Maresta, and Mastena, and Memuka, and 7 princes, and Memulkan answered before the sovereign princes, sovereign Vashti has misbehaved not only toward the sovereign, but also toward all the princes and all the people who are in all the provinces of the sovereign Ahasuerus. For the matter of the sovereign shall go forth to all women, to all their husbands and spies in their eyes, who they say the sovereign Ahasuerus commanded sovereigness Vashti to be brought in before him, but she did not come. And this day the princes of Paras and Madai shall say to the sovereign's officials that they had heard of the matter of the sovereigns with the plenty of the scorn and wrath, lived with princes. The sovereign let the royal decree go out from him, and let it be recorded in the laws of Parasians and the Madites, and so that does not pass away, the Vashti shall come no more before the sovereign Ahasuerus, and let the sovereign give her royal position to another who is better than she. The sovereign decree which he makes shall be proclaimed throughout all the rule. Greater cities and all the wives give esteem to their husbands, both great and small, and the word, and to every people in their own language, that each man should be master in his own house and speak in the language of his own people. Hadassah or Esther chapter number 2, verse number 1, the word of Yahweh says, and after these events, when the wrath of the sovereign Ahasuerus had ceased, he remembered Vashti, what she had done and what had been decreed against her. Then the sovereign servants who attended him, 3 young maidens, besought for the sovereign, and let the sovereign appoint officers in all the provinces of the reign, and let them gather all the young lovely young maidens to the citadel of Shushan, into the women's quarters, and under the hand of the Hegje, of the sovereign eunuchs, guardian of the women who give the preparations, and led the young women and possess the sovereign who sovereigns instead of Vashti. The word pleased the sovereign, and he did so. In the citadel of Shushan, there was a certain man of Yahudi, whose name was Mordecai, son of Jael, son of Shimi, son of Kish, son of Benjamin, who had been exiled from Jerusalem, with the captives who had been exiled with Yeconia, sovereign of Yehuda from Nebuchadnezzar, the sovereign of Babel, had exiled, and it came to be that he was raising Hadassah, that is Esther, his uncle's daughter, for she had neither father nor mother. The young woman was lovely and good appearance, and when her father and mother died, Mordecai took her as own daughter. And it came to be, when the sovereign's command and decree were heard, and when many young women and gathered in the citadel of Shushan into the hand of Haggai, but Esther too was taken to the sovereign's palace to hand the Haggai guardian to the women, and the young women praised him and received kindness from him. So he hastened to give her preparations and portions, and gave her 7 choice female servants from the sovereign's palace, and he moved her and her female servants the best of the house of the women. Esther had not been known her people or her relatives, so Mordecai had commanded her not to make it known to them. And every day Mordecai walked about in front of the courtyard of the women's quarters to learn the Esther's warfare and what is done to her. Now when the turn of each young woman came to go into the sovereign's Ahasuerus, after she had completed 12 months according to the regulations for the women, for the days of the preparation were completed as follows: 6 months with oil of myrrh, and 6 months were perfumes. And with the preparation of the women, thus prepared the young women, and went to the sovereign, and whatever she asked for was given to take with her from the house of the women to the sovereign's palace. In the evening she went, in the morning, and she returned in the second house women into the hand of Shanghaz and the reins of eunuchs, guardian of the concubines. She would not come in to the sovereigns again, unless the sovereign delighted in her and called her for her by name. And when the turn came Esther, and the daughter of Abiel, the uncle of Mordecai, who had taken her as a daughter to him, come into the sovereign, she sought no matter but what Haggai, the sovereign's eunuch, guardian of the women, advised. And Esther found favor in the eyes of all who saw her. And Esther was taken to the sovereign house into the royal palace in the 10th month, which is the month of Tebeth, in the year of his reign. And the sovereign loved Esther more than all the women, and she found favor in kindness in his eyes more than all the maidens, and he put the royal crown on her head and made her sovereigns instead of Vashti. And the sovereigns made a great feast, and the feast for Esther, and for all officials and the servants, and the proclaimed and released the prophecies, and gave gifts according to the means of sovereign, and maidens to assemble according. A second time Mordecai sat within the sovereign's gate. Esther had not made known to her relatives and her people as Mordecai commanded her. For Esther obeyed the command of Mordecai, as she was being raised by him. In those days, while Mordecai sat with the sovereign's gate, 2 of the sovereign's eunuchs, Bigthan and Teresh, doorkeepers, were wroth and sought to lay hands to sovereign Ahasuerus, and the matter became known to Mordecai, who informed sovereign Esther. And Esther spoke to the sovereigns in Mordecai's name. And when the matter was searched into, it was confirmed, and both were hanged on a timber, and it was written in the book of the annals in the presence of the sovereign. Hadassah chapter number 2, chapter number 3, verse number 1. The word of Yahweh says, and after these events, sovereign Ahasuerus promoted Haman, so Hammedatha, the Aggites, and they exalted him and seated him higher than all the princes with him. And all the sovereign servants who were in the sovereign's gate and bowed did obeisance to Haman, for so the sovereign had commanded concerning him. But Mordecai would not bow or do obeisance. And the sovereign servants who were in the sovereign's gate said to Mordecai, why do you disobey the sovereign's command? And it came to be when he spoke to him daily that he would not listen to them, that they told Haman to see whether the words of Mordecai would stand, for he had told them that he was Yahudi. And when Haman saw that Mordecai did not bow or did obeisance, Haman was filled with wrath, but it was despised in the eyes of to lay hands on Mordecai alone, for they had informed him, the people of Mordecai. Therefore Haman sought to destroy all the Yehudim who were throughout all the reign of the Ahasuerus, the people of Mordecai. In the first month, which is the month of Nishan, in the 12th year of the sovereign of Ahasuerus, someone cast pole that is wrought before Haman from day to day, and from the month to month until they fell on the 12th month, which is the month of Adar. Haman then all those sovereign Ahasuerus there, the month of Adar. Haman then all those sovereign Ahasuerus there is a certain people scattered and dispersed among the people of all the provinces of your reign, whose laws are different from all the peoples, and they did not the sovereign's rule. Therefore, it is not the sovereign's interest to let them remain. If it pleases the sovereign, let the decree be written and destroy them, and then me pay the 10,000s of kicks of silver into the hands of those who do the work to bring the sovereign's treasures. And the sovereign and took the signet ring from it and gave it to Haman, son of Amadatha, the Agagite, and the enemy of the Yehudim. The sovereign said to Haman, the receiver of the people are given to you to do what they with them as it seems good to you. And the sovereign scribes were called on the 13th day of the first month, and the decree was written according to all that Haman commanded to the viceroys, to the viceroys and of the sovereigns, and to the governors who are of each of province, to the officials and all the people, to every province according to its writing, and to every people in their language. And it was written in the name of sovereign Ahasuerus, and sealed with the sovereign signet ring. And the letters were sent to the learners into all the sovereign's provinces to cut off, to slay, and to destroy all the Yehudim, both the young and old, rich and women, children and women, in one day. And the 13th of day, on the 13th day of the 12th month, which is the month of Adar, and to plunder their possession. A copy of the writing to be made a law in every promise was published of the people to be ready for that day. The learners went out and hastened by the sovereign's command. The decree was given out in the citadel of Shushan. The sovereign and Haman that then sat down to drink, but the city of Shushan was in confusion. The book of Hadassah, or the book of Esther, chapter number 4. The word of Yahweh says, and Mordecai learned of all that he had done. And Mordecai tore his garments and put on sackcloth and ashes, and went out into the midst of the city, and cried out of a loud bitter cry. And he went up out of the front of the sovereign's gate, for no one might enter the sovereign's gate wearing sackcloth. In every province where the sovereign's command and decree came, there was a great mourning among the Yehudim, and fasting and weeping and wailing, and many lay sackcloth and ashes. And Esther's young women and eunuchs came and told her the sovereign was deeply pained, and sent garments to Mordecai to wear and to take away his sackcloth from him, but he refused. And Esther called Hathach, one of the sovereign's eunuchs whom he had appointed attend her, and she gave him a command concerning Mordecai, to learn what and why is this. And Hathach went out to Mordecai and to open space on the city in front of the sovereign's gate. And Mordecai told him all befell him, and all about the silver and the Haman promised to pay into the sovereign's treasury to destroy Yehudim. And he gave him a copy of the written decree to destroy them, which was at Shushan, to show it to Esther and to explain it to her, and to command her to go into the sovereign and to make supplication to him, and to bring before him for her people. And Hathach came and told Esther the words of Mordecai. And Esther spoke to Hathach and gave him a command of Mordecai. And the sovereign servants and the people of the sovereign's provinces who knew any man and no woman, or woman who goes into the inner court, into the sovereign, who has not been called, he has been but one row to be put to death, except the one who to whom the sovereign sold out the golden scepter, who then shall live. But I have not but I have not been called to come into the sovereigns these 30 days. And they declared to Mordecai the words of Esther. And Mordecai commanded night and day and night, I too and my young women shall fast in the same way. Then I shall go to the sovereign which is against the law. And if I shall perish, I shall perish. Mordecai went away and did according to all that Esther commanded him. The book of Hadassah, chapter number 5, verse number 1. And it came to be on the third day that Esther put on a royal apparel and stood in the inner court of the sovereign's palace in front of the sovereign's house, while the sovereign sat on his royal throne in the royal house opposite to the entrance of the house. And it came to be, when the sovereign saw sovereign Esther standing in the court, that she found favor in his eyes, and the sovereign held out the Esther the golden scepter with which was in his hand. And Esther went near and touched the top of the scepter, and the sovereign said to her, "What is it, sovereign Esther? And that what is your request? Up to half of my land is given to you." And Esther answered, "If it is pleases the sovereign, let the sovereign and Haman come today to the feast which I have prepared for him." And the sovereign said, "Get Haman at once to do as Esther has said." Then the sovereign and Haman went to the feast which Esther had prepared. And the sovereign said to Esther, "At the feast of wine, what is your petition, as it is given to you? And what is your request? Up to my half of my land, and it is done." And Esther answered and said, "My petition and request is this: if I have found favor in the eyes of the sovereign, and if it pleases the sovereign to give my petition and to perform my request, and then let the sovereign and Haman come and let the feast which I make for them, and tomorrow I shall do according to the word of the sovereign." And Haman went out of the day rejoicing and with a glad heart. But when Haman saw Mordecai in the sovereign's gate, and that did not stand and tremble before him, he was filled with wrath against Mordecai. But Haman held himself in and came to his house, and he sent and called his loved ones and Xerxes his wife. And Haman counted them the esteem of his wealth and his many sons, and all the which the sovereign had promoted him, and how he exalted him above the officials, the servants, and the sovereigns. And Haman said, beside Esther, the sovereigns, let the one be but me come in with the sovereign to the feast which he prepared, and tomorrow too I am invited by her along with the sovereign. But all this does not suit me, as long as they see Mordecai the Yehudi sitting at the sovereign's gate. It continues. So when Zeresh and all his loved ones said to him, "Let timber be made 50 armor high, and the morning speak to the sovereign that Mordecai be hanged on it, and go with the sovereign to the feast rejoicing." And the word pleased Haman, and he and the timber made. Esther or Hadassah, the book of Hadassah, chapter number. Esther or Hadassah, the book of Hadassah, chapter number 6. The word of Yahweh says, "And on that night, the sleep of the sovereign fled, and he commanded to bring the book of the records out of the annals, and they were read before the sovereigns. And it was found written that Mordecai had told of Bigtha and Teresh, two of the sovereign's eunuchs, the doorkeepers, who sought to read the hands of the sovereign Ahasuerus. Then the sovereign said, What has been done in value of this greatness to Mordecai for this? And the sovereign servants who attended him said, Not, and has done for him, not has been done for him. The sovereign said, Who is in the court? And now Haman had come into the outer court in the sovereign's palace, and speaking the sovereigns to hang Mordecai on the timber that had been prepared for him. And the sovereign servant said to him, Look, Haman is standing in the court. And the sovereign said, Let him come in. And when Haman came in, and the sovereign asked him, What is to be done for the man whose the sovereign delights to value? Now Haman thought in his heart, Who will be the sovereign's delight to value than me? And Haman answered the sovereign, For the man who the sovereign delights to value. Let a royal robe be brought, in which the sovereign has worn, and a horse on which the sovereign has ridden, one with a royal chest and placed on its head. And let this robe and horse be given into the hand of the one, the sovereigns of the most noble princes. Let them dress the man whom the sovereign delights to value, and to make him ride on a horseback, though the city square, and they proclaim before him, Thus is done to the man who the sovereign delights to value. And the sovereign said to Haman, Hurry, and take the robe and the horse, and you spoken to do so to the Mordecai the Yehudi, who sits in the sovereign's gate. Let no word fail of all that you have spoken. And Haman took the robe and horse, and robed Mordecai, and led him on a horseback through the city square, and proclaimed before, Thus it is done to the man the sovereign delights to value. Then Mordecai went back to sovereign's gate, but Haman hurried to his house mourning and with covered head. And when Haman relented to his wife Zeresh and all his loved ones, and all they had before him, his wise men, and his wife Zeresh said to him, If Mordecai before whom you have begun to fall if he is from the seed of the Yehudim, you are not going to prevail against him, but certainly fall before him. While they were still speaking with him, the sovereign eunuchs came and hurriedly bring him Haman to the feast who Esther had prepared. And the sovereign and Haman came in and to drink with the sovereign Esther. And again the second day at the feast of the wine. The sovereign said to Esther, "What is your petition, sovereign Esther? And it is given to you. And what is your request? Up to half of my reign, and it is done." The sovereigness Esther answered and said, "I have found favor. If I have found favor in your eyes, so sovereign, and if it pleases the sovereign, let my life be given me at my petition, and my people at my request. For we have been sold, and my people and I, to be cut off, to be slain, and to be destroyed. And if we had been sold as a male and female slaves, I would have kept silent, although the adversary could not make up for the sovereign's loss." The sovereign's Ahasuerus asked sovereigness Esther, "Who is he and where is he? Who is filled in his heart to do so?" And Esther said, "The adversary and the enemy is the evil Haman." Then Haman was afraid before the sovereign and the sovereigness, and the sovereign arising in his wrath, and from the feast of wine went into the palace garden, and Haman remained before the sovereign Esther, pleading for his life, for he saw that the evil had been decided against him by the sovereign. And when the sovereign returned from the palace garden to the place of the feast of the wine, Haman was falling on the couch where Esther was. Then the sovereign said, also to Ravish, the sovereigness where I am, the house of and the word left the sovereigness mouth, they coveted Haman's face. And Habona, one of the eunuchs, said to the sovereign, "Also, see the timber-filled armor high, which Haman made for Mordecai, who spoke good on behalf of the sovereign in standing in the house of Haman." And the sovereign said, "Hang him on it." And they hung Haman on the timber that had been prepared for Mordecai, and the sovereign's wrath abated. Hadassah, or Esther, chapter number 8, verse number 1. On that sovereign Ahasuerus gave to the sovereigness Esther the house of Haman, and adversary, and Yehudim and Mordecai came before the sovereign, for Esther had explained to what he was to her. And the sovereign took off the signet ring which had been from Haman, and gave it to Mordecai, and Esther appointed Mordecai over the house of Haman. And Esther spoke to the sovereign again, and fell down on his feet, and begged with him tears, and to put an end to the evil of Haman, Agate, and his plot which had plotted against the Yehudim. And the sovereign held out the golden scepter toward Esther, and Esther arose and stood before the sovereign and said, "If it pleases the sovereign, and if I have found favor in the sight and the matter, is it right before the sovereign, and I am pressing in his eyes, let it be written to bring back the letters and the plot by Haman, son of Hammedatha the Agagite, which he wrote to destroy the Yehudim with all the sovereign's provinces. For how could I bear to see the evil coming to my people? Or how could I bear to see the destruction of my relatives?" So the sovereign Ahasuerus said to the sovereigness Esther and Mordecai the Yehudi, "Look, I have given Esther the house of Haman, and they have hanged him on a timber, because they laid his hand on the Yehudim. Now, you write on behalf of the Yehudim, and if it pleases you, the sovereign's name, the seal with the sovereign's signature, for a letter which is written in the sovereign's name, and with the sovereign's signature, no one turns back." So the sovereign's scribe were called, and all that in the third month, which is the month of Sivan, on the 23rd day, and it was written according to Mordecai, the command to Yahweh, and to the viceroys, and to the governors, and the princes of the provinces of Hodu and Cush, and 127 provinces, to every province in its own writing, every people in their own language, and to the Yehudim, and to their own writing, and their own language. And he wrote in the name of sovereign Ahasuerus, and sealed it with the sovereign signet ring, and sent letters to runners and horseback, riding on royal horses, bred from speedy mares. That reign has granted to the Yehudim who are in every city to be assembled, and to stand for their rights, and to cut off and slay, and to destroy all the power of the peoples of the province who will destroy them, rape through children and women, and to plunder their possession. On one day, in all the provinces of the sovereign Ahasuerus, on the 13th day of the 12th month, which is the month of Adar, a copy of the writing to be made a law in every province was announced to all the peoples of the Yehudim, would be ready on that day, to be avenged on their enemies, and the runners riding on their royal horses without hasten, and pressed out by the sovereign's command, and the decree given out to the citadel of Shushan. And Mordecai went from the presence of the sovereigns, wearing royal garments of blue and white and gray, great crown, gold and garment, and fine linen and purple. And the city of Shushan rejoiced and was glad. For the Yehudim, there was a light and gladness and joy and value in every province and in every city where the sovereigns commanded decree came. The Yehudim had joy and gladness and feast and good day, and many of the people of the land were becoming Yehudim, for the fear of Yehudim had fallen upon them. The book of Hadassah, chapter number 9. The word of Yahweh says, and in the 12th month of that is the month of Adar, on the 13th day, on the sovereign's command and his decree came to be done on the day that of the enemies of Yehudim had waited to overpower them and stand around, and so that the Yehudim overpowered those who hated them. And the Yehudim assembled in the cities throughout all the provinces of the sovereign of Ahasuerus, and laid hands on those who sought their lives and for the evil, and no one stood against them, because of fear of the fear upon all people. And all the officials of the provinces and the viceroys and the governors and all those who doing the sovereign's work helped the Yehudim, because the fear of Mordecai fell upon them. For Mordecai was great in the palaces of the sovereign, and the report spread to all the provinces. For this man Mordecai became greater and greater. And then the Yehudim smote all the enemies with the stroke of the sword, with slaughter and the destruction, and did what they praised to those who hated them. The citadel of Shushan and Yehudim and destroyed 500 men, and they slew Paradise and Ephron and Panoda and Adia and Adiada and Parasiada and Rishai and Adidai and Wayada and 10 of the sons of Haman, sons of Hamedada, the enemy of Yehudim, but they did not lay the hand to the plunder. On that day, the number of those who were slain in the citadel of Shushan came before the sovereign, and the sovereign said to the sovereigness Esther, the Yehudim have slain and destroyed 500 men in the citadel of Shushan, and the 10 sons of Haman. What have they done in the rest of the sovereign's provinces? And what is your petition? It is given to you, and what is your further request? And it is done. And Esther said, if we persuade the sovereign, let it be given to Yehudim who are in Shushan, and to again tomorrow according to today's decree, and to that the Haman 10 sons be hanged on the timber. And the sovereigns commanded this to be done. And the decree was given to Shushan, and they hanged Haman's 10 sons. And the Yehudim who were in Shushan also assembled the 14th day of the month of Adar. And they slew 300 men to Shushan, but they did not lay the hand on the plunder. And the rest of the Yehudim of the sovereign's provinces assembled and stood for their lives, and the rest from their enemies, and to slay 75,000 of the enemies, but they did not lay hand to plunder on the 13th day of the month of Adar, and on the 14th day of the month of Adar, they rested. And they made in a day of fasting, feasting and gladness. But the Yehudim who were at Shushan assembled in the 13th Ahasuerus on the 14th and in the 15th of the month. They rested and made it a day of feasting and greatness. The book of Hadassah, chapter number 9, verse number 19. Therefore the Yehudim of the villages who dwelt in the unwalled towns were making on the 14th day of the month and that of the good day gladness of feasting and sending portions to one another. And Mordecai wrote these matters to send the letters to all Yehudim who are in all the provinces of sovereign Ahasuerus, both near and far, to establish among them to observe the 14th day and the 15th days of the month of Adar yearly, as the days on which Yehudim the rest from the enemies of the month, which was turned from sorrow to joy for them, and from mourning and a good day, and from they should make the days of feasting from joy, sending portions to one another, gifts to the poor. And the Yehudim undertook and to do as they began, as to Mordecai had written them, because Haman son of Hamedada, the Agagite adversary of the Yehudim, has plotted against the Yehudim to destroy, and his sons should be impaled on the stake. Therefore they called these days Purim, and after the name Pur. Therefore, because of all the words of this letter that they have seen concerning this matter, what had been come upon them, then the Yehudim established the impositions upon themselves and upon the seed, and all who should join them, and without fail they should observe these 2 days every year according to their writing, and at the appointed time, and that this day should be remembered and observed throughout every generation, every clan, and every promise, and every city, and that these days of Purim should not fail from among the Yehudim, and that remembrance of them should not cease from the seed. The sovereign Esther, daughter of Abiab, And Mordecai the Yehudi wrote in authority to confirm this second letter about Purim. And Mordecai sent letters to the Yehudim to the 127 provinces of the reign of Ahasuerus, words of the peace and truth, to establish these days of Purim to the appointed of times. As Mordecai, the Yehudi and the sovereign Esther established for them, and they had established for themselves, and the seed concerning the matters of the feasting, the fasting and lamenting, and the decree of Esther established the matters of the Purim, and it is written in the book of Esther, Hadassah, chapter number 10, in the last chapter of this book. And sovereign Ahasuerus laid compulsory labor on the land, and the islands of the sea, and all the acts of his power and his might, and the acts and the account of the greatness of Mordecai, with which the sovereign made him great, and are they not written in the book of the annals of the sovereigns of Madai and Paras? For Mordecai the Yehudi was second as sovereign to Ahasuerus, and great among Yehudim, and preaching to those many brothers, seeking the goodness of his people, and speaking peace to all his seed. Thank you very much to all our viewers, those who always follow Injili ya Milele ya Yahshua Messiah, as well as the Messianic Double Show. We say that Yahweh do you good and balak you. Thank you. It has been the book of Esther by the name Hadassah in Hebrew. Yahweh do you good. And we have seen where the feast of Purim began. It was when the time of Yehudim, they were told to be destroyed by this kind of a man called Haman. But by the Savior, by the name Mordecai, now this day is great event to the Hebrews until to date. Yahweh do you good. I've been your host, Ezron Evans, through Injili ya Milele ya Yahshua Messiah. Also, don't forget to view, in case there is a problem in Injili ya Milele ya Yahshua Messiah, refer to the Messianic Double Show. And may Yahweh do you good. And as you continue with us, see you in the next episode of the book of Ezra. And may Yahweh do you good and balak you. Shalom, peace unto you, all my people. Those who love walking, remember it's the journey through the scriptures. Shalom, peace and love unto you.